Hello everybody, welcome back to episode 52 to Talk Fame podcast with your host Kylie, and I'm so excited to have on actress and producer Hattie Smith. Thanks so much for coming on, Hattie.
Thank you so much for having me.
Of course, I'm so happy to have you on. So you're an actress. What made you want to start acting and being in the industry?
I first actually started getting started in acting when I was professionally probably in middle school and high school. I just started to get involved in theater in high school back in St. Louis. That's where I'm from. But prior to that, my cousin and co-collaborator were co-writers. She and I have been making home videos since age like 3 or 4. We've had a video or camcorder around us at all times, writing stories or putting stuff on camera, putting sketch shows together for our entire family. So we just naturally were drawn to the creative and the performing arts.
Yeah.
And then after I really got started in high school, she started to lean more towards directing and writing, and I started to lean more towards writing and acting. And from there, it kind of just took off. I got cast as the lead in several of our school productions, and I fell in love with just the whole process of performing for an audience, performing for something greater than yourself, and making people happy. And I just always loved different characters and people. And then from high school, I got recognized a bit through the St. Louis Cappies Association, which is like a theatrical association. And I won Best Actress in a leading role for a play. And from there, I just realized this is what I really love to do. I love studying people and I love studying different characters and, inspiring other people, educating other people through performance. So I went to Chapman University in Orange County. I graduated with a BFA in film and advertising there. And since then, I've popped up to Los Angeles. I've been hustling ever since.
That's amazing. As you kind of said, you always kind of been in it, or love acting with your friends stuff. And when I kind of grew up, I always kind of loved industry. Every once in a while, I just remember typing out questions and putting them out and see about me and see which parent knows me the best. And so I used to do that just for fun. And so I always knew I wanted to be in the industry, but I didn't necessarily didn't know what I wanted to be necessary. But I just knew that I wanted to be in this type of business, even though the industry is a very kind of hard place to be in from what my experience and what I hear from other people's experiences. And plus, I have 2 journalists in my family that work for a local news station, so I kind of have some background with them. And so I was like, God, how am I supposed to start a podcast? I grew up being a really shy, independent little girl. And I was like, how is a very shy girl going to do a podcast? That's not really normal. And so, I started this whole thing from quarantine, and it started this out last April, I believe. I started out mid-April, and now to think about it, I'm like, okay, well, I guess it's something I really have to do now. So I started this whole thing, I guess, you know what I mean?
Well, that's amazing though, because you've been chugging along and obviously it's picked up. And I also feel like that's the beauty of the industry, where you can kind of start in one avenue, whether that be journalism or podcasting or production or acting. And you'll find that you can kind of veer into other departments of the industry because they're very different, but also interconnected. And you really kind of have to be a person of all trades. You have to be like, okay, well, I'm ready to hop on this at any point, and I'm ready to try this and just expand myself creatively at all times.
Yeah, for sure. So you got to play a leading role in Prolix, which came out in 2020. What exact experience for you to play a dark type of character?
Well, for me, one of my favorite things about working in the indie film circuit is it's not always the biggest budget. It's not always the most planned out. It's kind of more based off of your passion about the project and the role. So for those kinds of roles that are a little bit more sci-fi or thriller based, I found that, and I've done a couple of those, I found that I really have to develop the character a lot on my own and with the director. So there's not a lot written for me in those roles necessarily in terms of dialogue. Yeah. So it's really up to me to kind of come up with who this character is, what's motivating this character, what's driving the character overall, what is that dark past that's behind every move that they make. And I think that's one of my most exciting parts about doing roles like that, is that I get a little bit more creative input in comparison to roles of like a more grander scale. It's kind of already written out for you. But for Parallax, it was a lot of fun because when I first read this script, it was a lot to take in, because it's very much like Inception. You have to kind of figure it out for yourself. And I remember having a couple of conversations with Michael Bachochin, the director, and just being like, okay, I had to break it down. I was like, wait, so what's happening here? Okay, now I understand. And then from there, I was able to be like, okay, so there is something that I can empathize with this character. And that's another priority for me, is making sure that I can relate to the character without forming like immediate judgments based off of, regardless of how they may be perceived as a villain in the film overall. Because I definitely play a couple of villains in my day.
Yeah, for sure. Like, definitely. Like, it depends on the role. Like, every kind of person that takes a role differently, for sure. Like, depending on like what role they want to play. Like, do they want to play a person that's like them, or do they just want to really just kind of something about the role that kind of really stuck out with them? And so, like, once I saw the trailer this morning for sure, I was like, wow, this is a very kind of dark character, like a little like outgoing, struggling character. I'm like, oh wow. And so like as I kind of grew up, I kind of connected to the character you played. I was like, okay, I struggled with anxiety and depression all my life. So I really kind of connected that she was struggling, and I was like, okay, well, this is something I need to try to work on right now. Like, I don't want to this is something I could play one of these days. If I kind of turn into acting, like I can really kind of play out my feelings will be real depending on what the role is, but like this is something that people can really connect with depending like who you are, really.
Yeah, definitely. And I do think that it's so important, especially as an actor, to have that true love of people and understanding that mental health is a serious thing, and understanding where people are coming from is very important. And while it may be easy to initially just judge the character based off of what you're reading, you have to think about what drives the character and why they're making those decisions, and why maybe they're forced into making those decisions. And that's a lot of what my character kind of went through Parallax. Is a lot of things were out of her own hands, and she had to make decisions, you know, life or death, kind of survival of the fittest type of decisions.
Yeah, for sure. So you got to work with Vanessa Lay, which I had her on the podcast a little bit ago.
I know, we saw that.
Yeah, and an award-winning short film, Sam and Emma. What was it like filming that and working with Vanessa?
Wow, Sam and Emma and working with Vanessa. Sam and Emma has been one of my most favorite films that I've shot and worked on to date. One of the top few that like I can say this, everything about it I just loved. When I first met Vanessa, I actually met her just by submitting myself via auditioning, and she called me in for a callback, and we kind of sat down at a coffee shop and just did this callback in real life, like at a coffee shop. And just performing with her and interacting with her was very, very natural. It seemed like we had this really good real life and on-camera chemistry right out the gate. When I finally booked the role and Vanessa kind of sat me down and we talked about like the goal of her making this film and taking these very real circumstances that a lot of people in different relationships or just different life positions could relate to, and realizing that she wanted to take this with an LGBTQ couple and turn it into something that's, you know, more typically defined in a heteronormative way, and instead turn it into like, this is so much more grand than that. This is just a person perspective. Like, this is a relationship that anybody can relate to.
Yeah,
that's when it really hit home for me, because growing up, I don't know if you've ever seen Moulin Rouge, but it's one of my favorite movies growing up. And I'll tell you this much: all you need is love, and love is about overcoming all obstacles. And that's kind of what that film was about. And working with Vanessa, she was amazing. She wrote, starred in, directed. She's really a quadruple threat across the board.
Yeah, for sure. Like, you don't see a lot of people that write, direct, and act in a lot of roles in the same exact role. You're right. That's really not a lot of people do in kind of our kind of generation, especially now, especially the pandemic hit. There's not a lot of people doing it and stuff. But like during kind of like when you're filming that, like what kind of like stuck out to you the most while kind of filming that role?
While filming, there was a couple of things. One thing that I was absolutely obsessed with was the crew, the cast crew. Everybody was very close-knit, and we had so much fun on set, despite the very traumatic material we were handling. And, you know, that's really important, is that when you come into a space, you need to make sure that you feel safe. Mm-hmm. And you need to make sure, especially when you're handling material like that, and you need to make sure that you can feel free to express yourself, but also come out of it and be in a safe place and feel comforted. So yeah. I think that was a huge, huge factor in shooting Sam and Emma. And aside from that, it was just honestly me and Vanessa's chemistry. I felt like we had so much fun shooting these things and those scenes, and they really did just come very naturally. Like it was like I'd known her for years and we were just telling this beautiful story together.
Oh, for sure. Like since you kind of been in the acting industry in the entertainment industry for a while, do you have anyone that you look up to as like an actress, or just kind of in general?
Oh, that's I feel like that I find another person every year, but yeah. Growing up, it was probably like when I was younger, I was obsessed with movies and just watching as many as I could. I'm sure you're probably the same.
Yeah, I'm the same exact way.
Yeah. So I was probably more obsessed with Kate Winslet and Nicole Kidman growing up, just because those are some major staples.
Yeah.
And now that I'm like more figuring out and establishing my own career, some people and some careers that I really look up to are people like Emily Blunt, Rose Byrne, or Jodie Comer, who's actually probably maybe just a couple of years older than me. Mm-hmm. And those are some people who are in the industry right now who I really loved the trajectory of their careers, and I've loved the different genres that they've worked in and how they've kind of diversified their portfolio across all those different genres. And that's kind of something that I really like. They've also told a lot of stories in television and in movies that I think are important, and I love that too.
Yeah, for sure. I was like, I have like so many, like I watch basically television and movies my time. Like I'm sure this is like for everyone. Like who hasn't watched television? You know what I mean? Who isn't?
Right.
But like someone that kind of sticks out to me is Patrick Dempsey.
Oh wow, yeah.
I love and adore so much. I love what he does, and like I watched him in every like all of his roles. Like he's really amazing at what he does. Like I can't describe, like he's just amazing. He inspires me so much, and like he's made such an impact on me. He's the reason why, well, one of the reasons why I'm in this industry, why I kind of want to start doing all these things, and why I'm kind of still doing this podcast. And the things he does with his center, Dempsey Center, with supporting cancer, help people get treatments, help them feel better about themselves, is something that really stuck out to me the most. Since I have family that died from cancer and got diagnosed, and last week my grandma got diagnosed with cancer last week.
So I'm sorry.
And so like it kind of stuck out to me the most about like what he was doing, and something that I kind of wanted to start doing in the future, like helping people with cancer and everything.
Absolutely. Well, yeah, I don't blame you. And yes, he's had an amazing career and he's been across all the genres. So I don't blame you at all. And he's truly amazing and pretty to look at too.
Yeah, true. I really have like when I see him on TV, I'm like, God, like how is this guy good looking? You're like, this good looking, you know what I mean?
Definitely get that part. Yes.
Yeah. So after kind of 2 years in the pandemic, how much do you think has changed with acting and filming since the pandemic has started over 2 years ago?
Oh my goodness. Well, first of all, I think we've already kind of covered this. A lot of things have veered into the digital age more than actually in-person auditions and callbacks and stuff like that. I think that aside from just that, aside from, you know, auditions moving into the home and not staying so much in studios and stuff, I would say that the amount of content that is going out into the world has increased like astronomically. I feel like a lot of people, when they were kind of stuck in the safety or, you know, the craziness of their own home, it kind of inspired them to be like, okay, I want to be creative. I want to find these creative outlets that I can use. And that manifested itself in either writing, shooting things on their own, and doing all that stuff. So I feel like there's a lot more opportunities now to get involved and to produce your own content. And while it might not, you know, be seen or be on Netflix or anything, there's so many different mediums that you can use, whether it's Quibi, YouTube, any of those things. And I think it's kind of inspiring because you're like, there's no more excuses or more big like obstacles that are keeping you from producing content and making things that are creative. So that's really exciting. Just during the pandemic, I wrote a feature film with my cousin and also like 2 short films and started a series. So it's like, you can do it. It's just a matter of making the time and finding the inspiration and the ambition to get it done.
Yeah, for sure. Like the pandemic has made like a lot of people get work done, especially in the industry. The people are writing books, starting podcasts, like writing. Like there's so many things people are doing, like songwriting, all those things. Like I even started this podcast with coming out live during the pandemic, and like I'm currently writing a book right now that I'm hoping to make out this year. So like there's a lot of things like people are really creating since we have a lot of time. We're stuck at home and like we can't really do anything besides kind of working and kind of watching television or what we kind of like to do or being outdoors, depending like what you like to do and stuff. And like the pandemic has really kind of shaped people to get a lot of inspiration, be creativity, and kind of keep themselves entertained since we can't really do anything now.
Right. It definitely lit a fire under our butts, that's for sure. And congratulations on potentially getting your book out. That's amazing. That's so exciting.
Thanks so much. That means so much. So the final question for the interview is, what is some advice for younger generations that like to be an actress one day or just kind of be in an industry?
Oh, man. How I wish I would have had some of these words of advice when I first got started. Be sure that you are ready to work out. And when I say that, I mean, acting isn't just about realizing that you love something and in being creative in general. It's not just realizing that you love something and, you know, trying to obtain it or, you know, doing the bare minimum to get it. Mm-hmm. It's about kind of falling in love with it every day through working through it, working out, taking classes, studying, reading books, doing all of those things to be sure that you really know what you're diving into, that you're an expert on your own passion. And that doesn't demand perfection, but it does require some knowledge and experience and immersing yourself in those kinds of worlds. Yeah. I would also say a huge thing is find the things that keep you sane. Like find the people that keep you sane, find the activities that keep you sane, whether that's working out or taking a camping trip or going to get ice cream or French fries every so often. Find the things that kind of root you back into your own reality, because as you said, this industry is really, really difficult. And there are far more losses than wins, regardless of your status in the industry. And it's something that you kind of have to be resilient with. So I urge everybody, make sure that you have the people and the things and activities that keep you sane and keep you who you are, aside from just working out, because of course you love it and that's why you do it. If you don't love it, you probably shouldn't be doing it. But if you love it, just make sure you have the things that ground yourself. And keep on chugging. You can do it.
Yeah, for sure. Like that's kind of how like I started, because like when I first started with this whole thing, I was like, how I don't know what to get myself into. Like I'll just try this out, and like this is like once people start doing things in this, you're like acting, singer, songwriting, writing. People don't really know what they're really getting into. Like they have no idea like what they're gonna do and like what they're trying to get themselves into. That's kind of how I was. I was never prepared at all. I was like, oh, all right, well, this is easy. Like, how hard could it be? Then I was like, oh, well, this comes difficult if you really think about it. And so, like, once I kind of see my cousins on TV from our local news station, I was like, oh, well, from this perspective, from what I'm hearing, it seems very easy. That I'm like, oh well, it doesn't seem easy at all. But then, like as time got on, like once I kind of got like once you get prepared and did research, and if you keep doing the thing more, then you kind of be more prepared and put in like you might be more confident and like you might be more persistent on what you're doing. And that's
Exactly.
and so like when I a lot of people when they're not getting booked, a lot of people are kind of challenging themselves, be like, why am I doing this? Like I'm not getting roles, like this song's not gonna be a hit. And I have thought that. I'm sure everyone in this has thought that. Like I literally was having a meltdown last night about like why am I doing this if I'm not gonna get views? Like why am I not getting big as like these other people? And like I was literally having that meltdown last night. And I'm like, I'm thinking in this morning, I'm like, why did I just cry over that? Like, why did I think that? Like, it just takes time. I've been doing this for almost a year. Like, some people do it for like a couple of years. Like, Kylie, you're doing
People do it for like 10 years. You're doing fine. And also, the mental breakdowns are normal. Trust me, I have them too. Everybody has them, and it's completely normal and also kind of good to release that pressure and that stress. But like I said, yeah, like you're working out. It's like going to the gym. You have to put yourself in it. You have to work those muscles out. And the more you work out, the stronger you're going to get at whatever you're doing. And I truly, truly understand the mental breakdown, but also it's like, it's a battle. And every day it's a battle, but it's very worth it when you get some of those wins, and it feels so good. And it really is for something bigger. Like it's for your audiences. It's for all of those people to educate and inspire, and that's what it's all about.
Yeah, it really is. Like everyone, like once I get some of my favorite people, I'm like, okay, that's a win. Like once I find something that, like once I get like a message from one of my favorite people, I'm like, okay, well, I'm good. I don't need to do any more from on my side of the end. But like, it's very like every person just like feels like they don't feel like some people feel like they don't think they should do their thing anymore since they're not getting anything. Like I kind of said before, and like everyone has a mental breakdown. They're afraid they're not gonna get any roles. Like they're not gonna be kind of big like Nicole Kidman and all those kind of big stars. But it's like it can take years. Like I've been doing this for a year. Yes, I got kind of a big audience around me a little bit, but like, and I have like kind of a little name, like kind of fame on my name a little bit, but like I still like I'm so breaking out. I'm not as big as some other people. But you know, I'm like, yes, I want to be big someday, but not like I don't think it might take 2 years from now. Like I have no idea when I'm gonna be big. No matter if no matter it is, like you always have to keep going. It's like no matter if you sit there cry like I did last night and have a mental breakdown, then that's really normal. Just think like, okay, well, you just
Beyond
keep
normal. Very, very normal. Trust me. And also, you know, my fiance is also an actor, and he works in the voiceover world as well. And he, you know, we always have this thing where he's the person that kind of helps me stay sane. So like I said, you got to find the people that'll help you stay sane.
Yeah.
But he and I have this thing where if we find ourselves, you know, potentially comparing ourselves to somebody who's already succeeding in our industry or is at a place that maybe we're not at yet, we immediately stamp each other out of it because, you know, everybody's path is individual and you pave your own way and you just make sure that what you're doing is serving yourself, but also like your end goal where it's like, what do you want to do? Do you want to inspire people to get into this industry? Do you want to educate people once you're in the industry, or is it just, do you really just like performing and putting content out there and that brings you happiness? So I think that's helped too, is to realize that what worked for some other people probably won't be how it's going to work for me.
Yeah.
And I've found peace with that as of late, especially during quarantine. I was like, well, you know, it's going to be different for everybody. We're all different.
Yeah, we're all different. Like that's the exact way. Like my cousin Rob, and he lives in a different state, so we're not like near each other. And I'll literally text them and be like, I'm going like, how do you kind of stay focused? Like I'm working my ass off. Like I'm going insane. Like how like I literally like I was like he's the person that I basically blab with like my need someone to talk to. I'm like, okay, I go text Rob who gives the best advice. Like I go, okay, I just text him. And he's like, Kylie, he'll be like, Kylie, get your head out of the game. Like, he's literally someone that's like, Kylie, if you need a break, if you need to get your sleep schedule back on track, like, then don't sleep, then sleep, make a sleep schedule that you want to go to bed and like you want to get work done. It's like, it's very simple. It's not that hard. It's simple. I'm like, well, if you say it's simple, then I guess it's simple. Like, I don't know. And like, he literally drives me insane. He's like my whole, like, he's the person that kind of puts me in my place when I need it.
Well, that's good. You have one of those. But also, I get being stuck in your own mind and feeling like you just have to go, 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 go. And that's why it's good. You got Rob. Rob's his name. He can help ground you.
Yeah, and like everyone needs someone like that needs to kind of break them. And when you really don't get roles, like your husband, like your fiance is kind of someone that you can lean towards that needs kind of motivation, and you'll be like, you don't need to be that person. Like, you might want to be that person now, but you don't want to. You two are different people. You might be in the position one day. You might want to be in their position, but it just takes time and growth. You have to work hard for it, but you still might not be in a position. It might take years to take, but like, it just takes time.
Just have fun on the road.
Yeah, for sure. So I just want to thank you so much for coming on the podcast. It was so great to speak with you. You're amazing. We'll definitely speak soon. Thank you so much for coming on again.
Of course. Thanks so much for having me. I had so much fun.
You too. Thank you so much. We'll definitely speak soon.
Okay, sounds good.
Bye.
Bye.